My name is Diane Martin. I work at the Marine Corps Logistics Base in Albany, Georgia, and I moved to this area in 2004, moved to Moultrie in 2015. I was raised in the church. I was born in Ocala, Florida, and I was raised 3 times a week. You know, every time the doors were open, anything, Bible camp on the summers, anything we wanted to do. I grew up with the youth group. My closest friends, everything I did, all my high school memories, everything is with my youth group. I don't want to say that I had like a sheltered life, but I was definitely raised in the foundation of the Church of Christ. I graduated high school and went to Harding University for a couple semesters. My boyfriend and I from high school, we both went to Harding University together, and we dropped out of Harding to get married. So we dropped out of school, we went back to Florida to get married, and the first time that I heard the Lord speak very loudly was when He broke up with me. We didn't get married. Life was turned upside down, and of course I just felt like my world had ended, because everything that I thought I wanted to do, my plan, was gone. I probably reacted a little bit different than most people do, and I joined the Marine Corps. I went down to the recruiter's office and I just said, I went to all the different services and I said, who can get me out of town the fastest? And the Marine Corps was the one that was able to do that. So I joined, and 3 weeks later I was in boot camp. And that was the best decision that I ever made. I got to boot camp and I really had no idea what I was getting into, but I knew that I needed a change in my life. I was the lay reader. I was still faithful. I still did the devotionals in the evenings, and I led the prayers at night, and I did what I could to keep my faith. I got out of boot camp and I was stationed right outside of LA in California. It's my first time away from home, first time on my own. You know, you have some trials and tribulations when you're young and out on your own, and wanted to kind of see what life was all about. I found a church. I knew that I needed to go to church because that was the way I was raised. But I also didn't go very religiously, didn't really practice the way I should. I did my own thing. And there's a lot of times that I feel that you kind of make excuses. You say, well, I'll get it next week, or I'll do this. I know what I need to do, but I make excuses not to do it. So life happens. I ended up getting married. My whole life was the Marine Corps and my husband. And we decided we're not going to have any kids. We did what we wanted to do, live life the Marine Corps way, toured around, we deployed, we traveled the world. We did everything that we wanted to do because there was not really any trials or anything like that was testing our relationship. So we were married about 8 years and decided that, okay, we need to have children. And up until that point, we hadn't really been tested. Priorities changed immediately. I was really surprised at how different I felt as soon as I saw Garrett. As soon as he was born, my whole life changed. I was like, nothing else matters. This baby is the only thing that matters to me. Fast forward a couple of years, and Garrett started having some issues. And we weren't really sure what was wrong because, like I said, I hadn't been around babies. I didn't really know what to expect and what to look for. I always tell people I would put him in his bed and turn on his aquarium, and he would stay there for hours just watching his aquarium. And I was like, man, this being a parent is easy. You know, he just stays there and does his own thing, and I don't even have to worry about him, you know. When he got to where he was like 14, 15 months old, he wasn't making any sounds, he wasn't talking, and I thought that he couldn't hear, which is a very common thing that you'll hear when you talk to parents of kids with autism. That's typically their very first thing is they say, well, I didn't think he could hear. So I took him to get his hearing tested. He could hear, everything was fine, he just couldn't speak. We got an official diagnosis of autism on my husband's birthday. And that's a major trial. We were both going through really, really stressful times in our career, and then you throw that layer of having a lifelong disability diagnosis. And I'll never forget the doctor saying he'll never hold a pencil, he'll never, get married, he'll never talk, just a list of things that he will never do. And then I drove home from Savannah to Albany, just like, what in the world is happening? So the next couple of years were very, very trying. We had another baby and then went through a divorce. I was left in 2005 as a single mom with a newborn baby and a 3-year-old with moderate autism. And I learned then what trial was all about. I wasn't really sure what to do with myself. I didn't really have many options because I had 2 babies that needed me to get up every morning. I was still active duty. We were in the middle of the war, and I was set to deploy. So I had I felt like a major decision in front of me. I had served 14 and a half years. So I felt like I was at a crossroads as I wasn't sure what to do. I felt like I needed to take care of them, and I wasn't really sure how to make those decisions. A man came up to me at work one day, and he said, hey, I want to invite you to my church. And I was like, okay. So we started talking, and he invited me to the Dawson Road Church of Christ in Albany. And I just thought, if the Lord isn't speaking to me through this, then I don't know what is. That, to me, that was his sign of saying, go back to your roots, basically. Go back to what you know, and you'll make the right decision. We started trying to go to church, and I ended up resigning and getting out of the Marine Corps. Just made some changes and got Garrett into some therapy, and life has just seemed to be a lot different, a lot calmer and not so stressful now. I always think about those types of moments when I feel like I'm overwhelmed, or I feel like I don't really know what I need to do. Like I feel like I've got a major decision. And there's a lot of times that I just need to take a deep breath and go, okay, it's not anything that you can't handle. There's a lot of times that you hear people say, the Lord won't give you something that you can't handle. And that's not really what you want to hear, as far as what I think, because sometimes it doesn't feel that way. And you just need people to sit silently, or to come up and take a baby, or wrap their arms around you, or just be there with you. I don't want somebody to solve this. I just want to know that I'm not in this alone. I moved to Moultrie in 2015, and when I walked in here, I felt like this congregation is, to me, like a young, vibrant, growing congregation, and I felt like there was no judgment. When I walked in as a single mom with two kids and my nonverbal child that never stops talking now talks out during church, and I just feel like that everybody embraces us. And I haven't felt that. I always feel like we're disrupting. Even in restaurants or in movie theaters or regular places like that, I feel like that we're disrupting, and I'm constantly trying to keep him quiet or stay in the status quo. Then there's a part of me that's like, this is us. So you just have to deal with it, because we're not going anywhere, and we just kind of come in with a vengeance, and it is what it is. And I feel like when we're here that I don't have to do that. I feel like everybody accepts us and pushes us to do better. The way we started it was we would get completely ready and we would go in the car and we would drive all the way to church and we would stay through the opening prayer. And then I would pack up and we would leave. And then a few Sundays later, we would stay through communion. We just expanded that time. Now he stays for the whole time, and you just have to take it little by little. Some days are good and some days are bad. And I remember there was some Sundays I would walk in and I would hand Justice, the baby, off to somebody that was sitting behind me so I could focus on Garrett, and then we would stay for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and then we would have to get up and go because it's just the routine. It's just, you have to, I felt like it was my responsibility as a parent and as a Christian to expose him to that. Regardless if it was 15 minutes or if it was a full hour, it was the habit. We had to get in that routine of just getting up and going in the car and sitting quietly for 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever it is. Because of all of that, my whole trajectory in life has changed. I've finished my education and now I'm starting a second career to do behavioral therapy. So you never know what the plan is and why you're going through the things that you're going through. Sometimes you just have to go, it is what it is. I'm going to take a deep breath and push forward, do the best you can do. One of the best pieces of advice that I ever received was the day before I left to go to OCS in the Marine Corps. I had a Marine tell me, one foot in front of the other. Head down, push forward. Do not look a mile down the road. Do not look tomorrow or the next day. You need to focus on right now. And that's all that anybody can ask of you. You feel the presence of Christ when you're at a decision point in your life. If you sit back, the answer is there. If you make the wrong decision, you're going to know, because things are going to start falling apart. Things are going to become more difficult. But if you've made the right decision, in my experience, things just fall into place. There was a reason that I moved from Albany to Moultrie. And when I found this church, I was like, that's the reason. It's just little things like that. I needed a family to keep me pushing in the right direction. You don't know how many times I've asked myself, why in the world am I stuck in South Georgia? When I spent most of my adult life in San Diego and over in the West Coast. And I come to Albany, Georgia for a 2-year tour in the Marine Corps, and that was in 2004. So I've said that for so many years. Why in the world did I come here in 2004 and my whole life fell apart? And I just keep saying that it's because there's a reason. It's because the Lord needed me here. If it's to help families with autism, if it's to outreach and tell people my story and my journey about how the doctor said my child will never speak or never hold a pencil, and now he has perfect penmanship and he never stops talking. Those are the kinds of things that families need to hear. They need to know that it's okay. It's okay to just roll up and be like, this is us, and we're doing what we can to stay on the right track. I'm Diane Martin. I'm a member of the Moultrie Church of Christ, and we are overcome.